Hey everybody, I have a quick 2-question quiz for you. Ready? Is there a difference between a spiritual warrior and a non-spiritual warrior, which I call a worldly warrior? Is there a difference? And if there is, what is it? Or is it just, different terminologies for the same thing? Is everybody a spiritual warrior? How can you tell them apart? Do they have a different plan? Do they have a different purpose? That is what we're going to be talking about today. And yes, there is a big difference, and we're going to be looking at the differences in orientation, purpose, process and strategy, decisiveness, mindset and passion. So stick around. We're going to cover it all very quickly. My name is Karen Bentley, and I am the creator of the Warrior's Way of self-love, self-mastery, and personal power. You can find out more about my programs at karenbentley.com. But let's get going on our warrior differentiator. So I've got this handy little whiteboard here, and we've got worldly warriors and spiritual warriors, and we've got all the different ways that we're going to be looking at them. I'm going to try to hold the board so that the light doesn't glare too badly. So firstly, what's the difference in orientation, if there is one? Well, the worldly warrior is concerned about self, self-importance, self-value, self-preferences, self-care. This is the orientation of the worldly warrior. And I am not saying selfish. I am saying self, making self important. And what is the spiritual warrior concerned about? The spiritual warrior is concerned about aligning with creation or spirit or the force or whatever terminology you like to use. I prefer not to use religious terminology because this is a spiritual warrior, not a religious warrior. And a spiritual warrior is the path to spirit or force or creation or one force without religion. So I don't use terms like God. I try not to. Sometimes I do, but I try not to. And I don't use terms like Father or any regal terminology like Lord. I try not to rely too much on religious masters like Jesus and Buddha and Allah. I have deep reverence and respect and love for all of those masters, but I try not to use them in my discussions because why? Because you have preconceived notions about what they're teaching and what the beliefs are and what the rules are, and I'm really trying to give you a different idea. So that's the reason I don't use those masters or those terminologies. If it makes you happy to use them, use them. But I'm working hard not to use them myself. But it does, you get the idea. Use whatever terminology makes you happy and comfortable. All right. So we've got self and aligning with spirit. That's the first big difference. The second really big difference is the worldly warrior is concerned with her or his experience here on planet Earth, which is why I call it the worldly warrior. It's an earthly experience orientation. What's this person concerned with? Next world. Or what I like to call the definitive journey to the next world, after what's going to happen after we leave planet Earth. That's the focus. So those are huge differences already. Are there any more, or are they the same? Let's see if we can figure this out. What's the purpose of the worldly warrior? What's the purpose? Self and life better. Better, best, magnificent, more functional, more meaningful, more enriched, more harmonious, better problem-solving skills, just to make it as good as is possible. So that is the purpose of the worldly warrior, and that's a very fine and noble purpose. What is the purpose of the spiritual warrior? There are several purposes of the spiritual warrior, several purposes. So the first one is preparation for the next world. And why do we have to prepare? Because to break free of the endless cycle of reincarnation that we're all trapped in takes a lot of preparation and intention. And that is really important difference. What else do we have here? Oh, we want to alter perception and become a seer of direct life energy, the force that is creation. We want to try and see it, which is not seeing this world, it's seeing beyond this world. So prepare for the next world, become a seer in this world. What's another purpose? To become conscious and aware. And how are you going to do that? By transcending the ego robot that lives inside all of us. We have this automatron that will do everything for us. We don't really have to think about it or pay any attention. And the spiritual warrior is trying to transcend or consciously override the ego robot so that she or he knows what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it, rather than just, kind of being in a mindless trance like we all are when we do a lot of things. And what's the last purpose of a spiritual warrior? Oh, service to spirit. Serve spirit. So already you can see that there's another monumental difference in orientation and in purpose. How about strategy and process? What is the strategy and process of the worldly warrior? Well, that would be the strategy of becoming more skilled. Skill building. And skill building is going to give you self-discipline. And it's also going to teach you how to self-correct. And in my program, I teach 3 essential, fundamental skills to warriors that are going to have the biggest bang for making life better. And those 3 skills are 1, stopping, 2, harmlessness, and 3, extreme self-care. Those are the 3 skills that we work on in the Warrior's Way, because they are going to give you the most profound, meaningful, tangible results. And those are all based on a skill building strategy and a skill acquiring process. And when you get done with that, you are going to have self-discipline and you are going to know how to self-correct. That is all monumentally important. What about the spiritual warrior? What are they going to work on for a strategy or a process? They are going to continue skill building, but they're going to have more of them. So it's going to include additional skills of mental training, and what else are we going to do? Stillness and silence. And what else are we going to do? Communion with spirit. And all of these skills combined, these ones and these ones all combined, enable the collection of power. And why does the spiritual warrior need power? The spiritual warrior needs power to get to the next world without being reincarnated. And why does the non-spiritual warrior need power? To make life better, to make self better, to have life more on the terms that she or he wants, to just be better at everything, communicating, problem solving, productivity, whatever is important to the warrior, that power is going to help out. So that is one thing that's really different. What else do we have that's different? Recapitulation of life experience, of life. Recap of life. So those are the major differences in strategy and process. And then we have decisiveness. So one of the ways that you can recognize a worldly warrior or a spiritual warrior is by their decisiveness. Warriors make decisions and they act on them. Sometimes I stumble across people who don't realize they're warriors, and how do I recognize them? By their decisiveness and by their willingness to act. And I really value that quality in people when I see it. So decisiveness. How does a worldly warrior make a decision? Well, the first thing is, what do you want? What is the outcome that you want? Because we're worried about self and your earthly experience. What do you want to happen for you or to you? And then what are the choices? What are the options? So you're going to do this assessment of what is the best choice available that is going to give you what you want. And then you're going to make a decision. And then you're going to do the all-important thing. You're going to act on it, right? We're going to act. That's what the worldly warrior, that's how the worldly warrior does decisiveness. How does the spiritual warrior do decisiveness? What's the difference? The spiritual warrior communes with spirit and gets guidance and acts. So it's a totally different process. They're both making a decision, they're both acting, but in a totally different way. What else do we have here in our bag of tricks? What's the next big difference? Mindset. Oh, okay, I love this one. What's the mindset of a excuse me. What's the mindset of a worldly warrior? That would be 100% responsibility for personal happiness. Now, I know that this is heresy. We want our parents to make us happy, and our spouses to make us happy, and our friends to make us happy, and our employers to make us happy, and our service providers to make us happy. And when they don't, we feel justified being angry or put out with them, or whatever the situation seems to call for. But a worldly warrior has a mindset that happiness is her or his responsibility, 100%. That means no victimization, no blaming, no complaining. What you do is you assess what you want, you make a decision to fix it, and you act. And so your mindset is to take responsibility for your own happiness. What is the spiritual warrior's mindset? The spiritual warrior's mindset is completely different. It is the mindset that this awareness, these skills are very rare, and very few people have them. Very few people, for example, are concerned with harmlessness. Very few people understand why stopping is such an essential life skill. Very few people buy into the concept that we need to be preparing for the definitive journey after we leave the planet. And why the reason why the definitive journey is so important is because you only get the chance to make the choice to not be reincarnated when you die. And after you either can resist the lure and the temptation to do it again, or you can't. And so that's why it's so important. So this is the compassion, tolerance, understanding that 99.999% of the population on planet Earth has no clue about what it means to be a warrior, how to lead a warrior's life, what the warrior's life is about, what the warrior's values are about. And so the spiritual warrior has compassion, tolerance, acceptance that this is the way it is. The spiritual warrior's job is not to correct. You don't see correction on there. It is not to correct the other 99.999% of the population. It is not to correct or fix them. unless they ask for correction and fixing, which most people will not. So it is just observing, witnessing, without judgment, but with compassion, with tolerance, with acceptance, that this is the way of the world. What else do we have? What is the passion of a worldly warrior? What is the passion? Oh, I love this one too. Self-love. I love me. I love me. I think I'm wonderful. I'm the best. I love me. And deep, mad passion for self. And how good is that? That's the worldly warrior's passion. What is the spiritual warrior's passion? That the spiritual warrior's passion is deep, mad love for all. The spiritual warrior's passion is being source for love, and unconditionally loving. And it requires a completely different understanding of what it means to be a loving being, and there's too much to cover in this little comparison. We'll do that another time, okay? So there you have it. A lot of really big differences. If you come to the Warrior's Way program, this is what you get. You get these really super magnificent, life-changing, super transformative skills and processes and education and experiences. And you can check it out at KarenBentley.com. I don't currently have a class for spiritual warriors because, you know, this is really quite a leap. I'm not sure anybody's actually interested other than being mildly curious. So I don't know. You tell me if there's any interest. Oh, and by the way, if you're doing these things, if you're doing stopping, harmlessness, and self-care, you are going to automatically, whether you want it or not, whether it's important to you or not, it's going to happen organically that you're going to have some kind of spiritual awakening. Because why? Because these skills automatically align you with spirit. It's an automatic alignment. Spirit wants you to be able to stop yourself. Spirit wants you to be harmless. Spirit wants you to take care of yourself and love yourself. And that automatically does this for you. So you're halfway there. Whether you want it or not, it's going to happen, and it's going to make you feel good about yourself. So, again, if you like this content, you know what to do. Smash that like button and consider subscribing. I put a video out every week. Come back, leave me a comment, have a conversation. Tell me if you want that spiritual warrior stuff. And I can't wait to be with you again. Hey, bye for now. Mwah, big love.